very much. We may be seated. Honorable members, Honorable Premier, Honorable Speaker, Honorable MECs and your special guests, members of the media, those that are joining the session through virtual mechanisms, good afternoon to everybody. I think, honored members, you are quite aware about the rules that they do apply. And I think virtual and hybrid house sitting and committee meetings, as we all know. But I think all of those adopted rules will apply even today. I'm aware, honored members, that there are people who are connected through this hybrid chamber who are not necessarily members of this house. And those are entitled to observe the proceedings. And they would have, as they would have in a physical sitting, but not to participate. And members are requested to keep their videos on so that they can be able to be identified. As a word of advice, honored members, members are requested to always check their appropriateness. And members are requested to ensure that they do dress neatly and decently. Kukho ezi mics zilapha ezitafileni. At times, zibonakala zi-on, and I will request that please ensure that you keep those mics off, meaning that the green sign will indicate. Thank you very much for that. Are there any notices of motion? Honorable Chief Whip.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the members of the Provincial Legislature. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I move without notice in terms of Rule 128, subsection 1 and 129, that the House notes and mourns the passing of Isilo Samabandla, His Majesty King Goodwill Zwelithini Kabhekuzulu, King of the Zulu Nation. His Majesty the King passed on the 12th of March 2021 in hospital as he was admitted due to a diabetes-related illness and later succumbed to COVID-19. King Goodwill ascended to the throne in 1968 after the death of his father, King Cyprian Bhekuzulu kaSolomon. He reigned under the traditional leadership subsection of South Africa's constitution as King of the Zulu Nation. The passing of His Majesty means that we have lost a revered leader who had the distinction of leading the Zulu people for half a century. The significance of his long reign and his legacy is not lost on us. History will recall that after many years of conflict and turmoil, it was in the course of his reign that the Zulu kingdom achieved the stability and harmony that had so long eluded it. It was during the course of his reign that his people, alongside all the people of our nation, realized their dream of freedom from the injustices of colonialism and apartheid. And it was during his reign that the decades of dispossession and the willful destruction of our knowledge and economic system, culture and governance institution came to an end. Imbube will be remembered for being the staunchest defender of his people. He not only defended and advanced the interests of the Zulu people, but advanced their culture, their customs, their traditions, and a deep sense of identity and nationhood. He is celebrated across our beloved continent, Africa, because he valued diversity and respected the cultures of other kingdoms and nations. During the tumultuous period of political transition in this country, he played a significant role in the achievement of democracy. The king will be remembered for his role in bringing peace and stability to KwaZulu-Natal during the difficult times and our country went through. As a leader, He preached peace and unity. He abhorred violence and its consequences. As the country moved towards democracy, he called for an end to political killings, traveling around the country, meeting and encouraging people to resort to peaceful means of resolving conflict. His Majesty was one of our most revered traditional leaders. As one of the elders of our country, his advice was regularly sought by leaders of different political persuasions. He always exuded warmth, wisdom, and love for the people of South Africa and the entire continent. His Majesty was a champion of development and progress. He was a great visionary and had deep insights on how best to develop our country and its people. He advocated for better health outcomes amongst his people, leading from the front in the fight against HIV and AIDS as well as TB. He founded the Bayede Trust, which has worked to mitigate the impact of HIV and AIDS throughout the province. He encouraged responsible behavior, especially amongst young people. He challenged the international community to avail more funding against the AIDS pandemic and the South African government to provide treatment to our people. Let it be clearly understood that moral courage was one of his noblest virtues. Also note that we convey our deepest condolences to the Zulu royal family and the Zulu nation as a whole. I so move.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Whip. Now I put the motion.
Agreed.
Thank you very much, honored members.
Agreed.
Any further notices of motion, Honorable Chief Whip?
Thanks once more, Deputy Speaker. I move without notice in terms of Rule 130 of the Standing Rules that despite the provisions of the Standing Rules of Procedure of the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature, the House approves the plenary sitting schedule for the 25th of March 2021 to begin at 10. I so move. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Whip. I put the motion. Agreed?
Agreed. Agreed.
Agreed, have it. Thank you very much, honorable members. Any further notice of motion, Honorable Deputy Chief Whip? Nothing. I see human rights.
Honorable Deputy Speaker. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I move without notice in terms of Rule 130 that the House observe the annual commemoration of Human Rights Day on the 21st of March 2021 under the theme, the Year of Unity, Socio-Economic Renewal and Nation Building. Acknowledge that on the 21st of March 1960, the community of Sharpeville and Langa townships embarked on a protest march to protest against past laws, that the apartheid police shot and killed 69 of the protesters at Sharpeville, many of them shot while fleeing. Remember that this tragedy became known as the Sharpeville Massacre, and it exposed the apartheid government's deliberate violation of human rights. Acknowledge that the democratic government declared 21st of March Human Rights Day to commemorate and honor those who fought for our liberation and the rights we enjoy today. Acknowledges that the anniversaries of these painful events from our past are a reminder that many paid the ultimate price for us to live in a society governed by human rights and dignity for all. Since 1994, our progressive government commemorates these painful chapters of our past to unify South Africans and assert our human rights culture as the affirmation that the dark deeds of our past will never be repeated again in a democratic society. Acknowledges further that we have one of the most progressive constitutions in the world, which is the ultimate protector of our human rights, which were previously denied to the majority of our people under the apartheid. Commemorate Human Rights Day to reinforce our commitment to the Bill of Rights as enshrined in our Constitution. Encourage all South Africans to use Human Rights Month to foster greater social cohesion, nation building, and shared national identity. It is our duty as a nation to strive for inclusive socio-economic development while ensuring that we combat scourges such as racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and all related intolerances, as well as gender-based violence and femicide, which are undermining our human rights culture. I so move, Deputy Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chief Whip. I now put the motion.
Agreed.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Agreed. Have it. Any further notice of motion? Honorable Tekian?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby give notice in terms of Rule 131 of the Standing Rules of this House, that the House notes that the Eastern Cape Provincial Government, including its state organs, municipalities, provides services to its citizens. But in order to do so, contracts to third parties are given who are providing these services, or who always bring their own employees to deliver these services. This includes, but not limited to, cleaning services, security services, gardening services, construction, laundry services, and etc. All these services are required on a recurring basis, and there's always a need for government to provide them for an indefinite period of time. That the House notes that the prices for these contracts are all often purposefully inflated through manipulation of the tendering system. This underlies the majority of corrupt activities that are currently taking place in all spheres of government, including in the state organs. It has further, to a larger extent, collapsed the ability of the state to deliver necessary services to our people. That the House notes that already in the legislature, cleaners have already been insourced, and they are having benefits. And if you speak to the Deputy Speaker, you'll hear that they are happy with the current conditions of employment with the legislature. This further goes to Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital and the Mthatha Regional Hospital, who have insourced laundry services. Same applies there. If you speak to those workers, they are very happy. So the House notes that millions of rands are spent on outsourcing facilities management, that is maintenance, gardening, cleaning, and security across the provincial department and entities. The House further notes that the outsourcing of government function gives rise to challenges such as administrative problems created by outsourcing of services. That the House knows that the government has a duty to build state capacity through insourcing of its function, such as the facilities that we have mentioned above. Therefore, the House resolves to request all government departments to end their contracts with labor brokers and all private service providers, and that all facilities management staff, which includes maintenance staff, gardening, cleaning, security, laundry, become full-time employees with benefits such as annual leave, maternity leave, medical aid, and pension. Thank you very much. I so move, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. The motion will then be debated at the later stage in accordance with Rule 133, subsection 1. Therefore, it is noted. Thank you very much, Honorable Member. We are now entering a phase of member statements. Can I remind honourable members that you don't exceed 3 minutes in your statements, and when we are providing responses by the executive, they don't also exceed 5 minutes. Are there member statements? Honourable Makashela? Noted. Followed by Honourable Von Bergenrode.
Thanks. Good afternoon once more, Deputy Speaker. TB Awareness Month the clock is ticking. In the month of March, South Africa commemorates TB Awareness Month under the national theme, "The clock is ticking. Let's find, treat and end TB now." Tuberculosis has been noted as the world's greatest killer after HIV and AIDS. It is a leading killer of people living with compromised immune systems. In South Africa, thousands of deaths are attributed to TB every year. Honorable Speaker, we are in the first quarter of the second year of the COVID-19 pandemic. A pandemic that continues to put an immense amount of strain on available medical resources. The presence of the COVID-19 pandemic means that focus has shifted and the provision of life-saving treatment and care for TB patients may be impaired. This fact, Honorable Deputy Speaker, is worrying because an astounding number of up to 4,000 people continue to die from TB every day, whilst 28,000 become infected and fall sick worldwide. Just imagine a patient that is infected with a cocktail of HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis, COVID-19, coupled with poverty. A gruesome thought that unfortunately may be a reality for some of our people. The ANC calls on the government and its partners to double their efforts in creating awareness about this understated disease, to provide redoubled support to the treatment and care of TB patients in the era of COVID-19, and to mobilize the necessary resources to treat this curable disease and curb the spread of TB. Indeed, the clock is ticking. We cannot afford to lower the guard. We need to move with speed and act on the commitments made and meet our national targets as outlined in our National Strategic Plan for HIV, TB, STIs 2017 to 2022. Thanks, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Makashela. Honorable Von Bokenrode.
Deputy Speaker, Honourable Premier, all protocol observed. Deputy Speaker, during his recent State of Province address, the Premier said, and I quote, "Building an Eastern Cape, we want also ensure that our province is categorized by social cohesion and safe communities," close quote. Deputy Speaker, how can we build a safe community and encourage social cohesion when the very instrument designed to do this is in shambles? I'm referring here to Community Safety Police Forum, which are the only recognized constituted forum designed to permit communities to make their policing concerns known to the police. Deputy Speaker, the CPF platform is where communities, members of the public, organizations, and relative stakeholders can meet to discuss crime and local policing matters and also strategize innovation matters. Unfortunately, in the Eastern Cape, these forums are at a state of disarray. Many cluster boards has been formed and established, but yet they do not exist or they function without the necessary mandate. Not to say the least, our provincial CPF board has become a haven of political connect individuals. These cadres are serving their own interests and they are interfering in police matters without the necessary mandate. To compound matters, our Community Police Safety MEC is refusing to take action or even to take legal action upon this unconstituted body. The MEC is in possession of a legal opinion and yet she is refusing to act on it. How can the Premier declare in his State of the Province address in a response that we must uphold the law if his own executive is not enforcing the law? His own MEC is refusing to uphold the law because she chooses cadres before the citizens of this province. Deputy Speaker, I'm appealing to the MEC as well as the province, the Premier of this province, to disband the illegal body of CPF Provincial Board and to act swiftly. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Bokenrode. Honorable Premier, on behalf of the executive, I may now invite your team to provide responses, especially Health Department as well as Safety and Health. Over to you. Ukhona lo muntu ukwazi omnye? Akukhwazwane pha.
Deputy Speaker, the EFF has a member statement.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Into ba andikwazi ubona sandla apha. Okay, can you come with your member statement, honored member? Sorry for that.
Okay, thanks, Deputy Speaker. Greetings, honorable members. It was recently reported in the Daily Dispatch edition of 18 March 2021 that a report into the investigation at Ingobayetemba municipality, signed off by COGTA MEC in February 2021, revealed that recruitment and procurement processes have been floated. In the supply chain department, over 7 million meant for COVID-19 relief was spent on refurbishing the council chamber. 2 councillors were accused of using RDP material to renovate their own houses. The report also revealed that 3 people were employed without undergoing the recruitment processes. One of the employees attached to the office of one of the senior political heads is a convicted rapist who is still on parole with 1 month left to finish his signing off. The investigation was commissioned in terms of Section 106 of the Municipal Systems Act, which applies where the MEC believes that a municipality does not fulfill its statutory obligations, or maladministration, fraud, corruption, or any other serious malpractice has occurred. In the Auditor General report for the 2019-2020 period, it was observed that supply chain management non-compliance is the major cause of irregular expenditure.
Thank you.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, are there any steps that will be taken against the accounting officers and officials who are involved in non-compliance with the supply chain management protocols? Regulations 9 subsection 1 of the supply chain management system regulations provides
Thank you very much, honored member. You've made your point. I think the MEC will provide clarity. Thank you. Honorable Premier, can you then take over and assign these questions to Honorable MECs, Health, Safety, Local Government, and your closing comment, possible? Just short responses, Honorable Premier.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to all honorable members. I will ask MECs to respond to this MEC Math for health and MEC Tigana for community safety, as well as MEC Ngata for the last question on Ingobayetemba.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. In that order, honorable members. Honorable Meth.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, in the office I'm in, there is a noise. There's construction here in East London. I was closing the door. Good afternoon, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I'm sorry, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I was listening attentively, but I don't know why I missed the issue that was raised in the House that relates to the Department of Health. I respectfully ask that to give the next MEC, let me quickly check with my people what is the issue that was raised.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable Kotiwe. Honorable MEC? Well, let's go to local government. Cocta.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and greetings to you and to the honorable members of the House and officials. I can confirm that the report, investigation was done and the report was tabled to Council with findings and recommendations. One of the areas that were to be investigated included the resolution of Council to use reprioritized funds to extend their Council chamber. When the investigation then was being done, Council went back to Council and rescinded the decision. I did note that in the papers it said that the municipality did use the money. It's not the case. They did have that as a decision, and after it was part of the petition during the investigation, they rescinded the decision. And Provincial Treasurer also indicated to them that it is not correct for them to do so, adding to what Cocta did. The issue of an employee who's out on parole, that is true. What the report found there was that due process was not followed in terms of the screening and other things that are followed before people are employed. And that cannot be the responsibility of the concerned employee. And therefore, the report recommends that appropriate action be taken against the managers who are responsible. Members will recall that people who are on parole, we refer to these centers as correctional centers, not as prisons. So people who have served time and did undergo rehabilitation are employable, as long as people can disclose that during the interview and they have followed processes. And we also urge in the report that such people, there must be sensitivity. Where do you put them? You cannot put them in the front line where they interact with the public and all those kind of things. But you cannot condemn them for death whilst they have undergone the correctional processes. The issue relating to supply chain, there are findings there. The report does indicate what steps that must be taken, and with timelines in terms of their actions and responsible people. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC. I don't know whether Honorable MEC Health, are you ready now? Just a few minutes.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, please help me just recap for me because my people are just not even responding now. What was the question? I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Honorable Safety, Security and Liaison. I don't think she is connected. Honorable Premier, can you just summarize and then we move?
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. My sincere apologies for this, and I don't think it's going to happen again. I don't think MECs must behave in this manner for this House. I do really profusely apologize, and actually, next time, all MECs must be here for these members' statements. I would request that the House give us time to answer this and make written submissions to the issues that have been raised. Yes, on the issue that was raised on TB awareness, I know Premier himself, he will be leading the campaign to launch this program in Dabankulu in the next few weeks. So I will be there with the Department of Health to ensure that we don't lose track and lose sight of other communicable diseases that we've been dealing with. TB continues to be dangerous, and we have seen it got exacerbated by this challenge of COVID-19. But I will ask the MEC to give more detail and explanation as per the issues that were raised by the Chief Whip.
Thank you.
On the community safety, we note the issues and the concerns, and these are issues that we continue raising ourselves, and we continue trying to find panacea around them. But I will also ask MEC to make a written submission. I just checked here. She's busy in a program with the National Minister and PRASA. PRASA is here. We invited them as a province to address some of issues that relates to the challenges of their infrastructure in the province. So she will be joining in 20 minutes. My apologies for that. She should have done that apology herself, but she will make a proper submission to a member concerned. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier, and also thank you very much for your intervention. Hopefully that the member statements will be responded appropriately and accordingly in terms of the rules of this House. Honorable members, before I invite the Secretary to read the first motion of the day, can I also indicate that we are also joined from Teams platform, also from our Facebook page, Impuma Kapa TV, and I think all those platforms are going to be utilized by our people in the province to follow the presentation of the policy speeches up until we conclude the business on the last day. But let me also request that when members who are on Teams speak, they must put their video